Let's go!
We've had some really good conversations with his representatives. We're going to keep those in-house, Kay.
Terry McLaurin is not happy right now. How important is he to the overall Commanders' success? Obviously, there were so many memorable Scary Terry moments, this being arguably the biggest. And look at this catch. I mean, it is nothing short of incredible. So that was a pretty great Scary Terry catch. I could argue that this one was even better. So on that last one, it was just straight man-to-man coverage, beat your guy, and then, of course, make the very difficult grab. Right here, you will see that Cam Taylor-Britt, a really solid but not spectacular corner for the Cincinnati Bengals, has outside leverage right here on Terry McLaurin. So you get the play action fake. This was from earlier in the game, obviously, and you'll see that Cam flips his hips to the inside, and that's where Scary Terry wants to go. So he tries to run the go, attacks the go, and then goes to his back hip to get him turned around, all right? And then Jayden, obviously, I want you to see when he's throwing it, they're not even. Terry is a step behind, but because he attacked that hip, the corner has to turn around, and you'll see right here, Terry does then a really good job of getting the corner on his backside here, right? Stacking him, if you will. And obviously, this is a really good throw by Jayden, but that stack right there kept this separation. Terry timed that absolutely perfect. He is a really tough wide receiver in the intermediate as well. So you can see this corner press man. Jayden likes the matchup down here. There really isn't any separation, but Jayden is just trusting that Terry is going to create some on this inbreaker. And look at when Jayden is deciding to throw this ball. I mean, this is freaking ridiculous quarterback play. Bang! Hits him, and obviously Terry makes a grab and then is able to fall forward basically here for a first down. So let's move ahead to the first playoff game of Jayden Daniels' career. And this honestly is a really easy check for Jayden. Straight up, single high safety. The likelihood that they roll into cover two here is very unlikely based on the alignment of this DB right here. So guess what? Jayden says, look, we're going to take advantage of this man-to-man matchup. I don't know if it was his check, whatever, but look at what Terry McLaurin does. Just has this corner juked out of his shoes, okay? And once again, this isn't Dre Bly or Darrell Revis out here, but still, Jayden sees it, and under heavy pressure, just floats this football up, right? There is a lot of air under this ball, and look at where it is. Boom. Okay, perfectly leads him, but Terry still has to make this very difficult grab, and of course he does. He's Terry freaking McLaurin. The red zone is another strength. This wasn't even his best red zone touchdown. You can argue that one versus the Ravens earlier this year was even better than this one. Game on the line that said, hey, F it, let's throw it up, and look at that hands grab on a really good corner in Bland. Tutty, baby. As many of you know, the hardest place to execute is this portion of the field. And you'll see Jayden knows that a field goal makes this a two-possession game. He is very cautious with the football normally in this area of the field. But Jayden trusts that Terry is going to win a one-on-one matchup versus a corner who's not really that good. So Jayden throws this up. Terry obviously just makes this grab. Man, that is not the easiest catch in the world, and Terry makes it. I mean, it's just that simple. Let's discuss a few different screen touchdowns from the playoffs, okay? Terry McLaurin here, this is an absolutely perfect throw. The momentum of the throw is what led Terry to miss these guys, but still, he's got to make an all-pro linebacker miss, regather, and then outrun this Eagles secondary that freaking look like the Globetrotters versus the Kansas City Chiefs. That wasn't the best comparison. But the yak ability part of his game is very, very, very underrated. Once again, he was a very productive playoff QB. We've shown you, I say QB, wide receiver, okay? And we've shown you highlights now from all the different playoff games. And look, some of this, especially this, obviously, that was not the best throw, but to break those tackles yet again and then outrun one of the best safeties in the NFL, Kirby Joseph, not known for being the most fleet of foot, but that is still impressive to have this juice and this level of giddy up. I honestly would heavily consider actually forking over the money. So there's one thing a lot of people are missing about the Terry McLaurin analysis, okay? Now, I want you to take a look at Terry's stats from last year and over his career. He's basically got the Mike Evans thing going on. 1,000 yards, never really in that 1,500 elite category, but let's be fair. This was the first year he was with an elite QB. Now, I have been drafting him like crazy on Fast Draft Fantasy. Sign up now using my promo code Carter. Deposit match bonus up to $50. Fantasy drafts that last less than 10 freaking minutes. Fast Draft Fantasy, okay? Look, the thing that no one is mentioning about Terry McLaurin, and there are so many fantasy analysts that are out there saying, well, I'm fading Terry, and he's older. He might be over the hill. You don't want to pay him before he hits this because he is older. The crazy thing is him and Jayden's season should have been much, much, much better because they missed so many shots. Now, they made more of them, obviously, just watching, but there were so many misses. And right here, this isn't on Jayden or Terry. There's a protection mishap. The Steelers do a good job of showing a blitz and then backing out. So this guard is late to come over to pick up the DT, and this tackle is late to pick up the edge rusher, and you'll see that Jayden is under heavy pressure, okay? But the focus here is Terry McLaurin going up against his corner, who I like a lot. And look, he's past him, all right? This is burn notice right here, all right? Jayden, of course, had to get rid of it, and you can see Terry was extremely frustrated that he did not get the ball there. All right, so this was the most emotionally conflicted NFL game in a long time for me, all right? Saints, my favorite team, Commanders, my second favorite team with JD5. Man, the second half of this game featured so many walk-in vertical misses, all right? A little bit of an overthrow right there from Jayden to Terry McLaurin. Not many wide receivers. Now, I want you to think about this. You have seen all the different types of catches. We've shown them to you, right? Obviously, we're not breaking down Terry's blocking skills here. Jayden obviously had a hand in his face on this one. Maybe Terry should have caught this one. I'll tell you, he should have caught that. But, he obviously tried to keep his feet because, if you catch that, it's a touchdown and then that's a game. But that was also a miss. And this one, I think, is a little bit more understandable. But really think about this, all right? Take a look at Jayden's stats. 23 of 27, 207, 2 touchdowns, all right? He is playing a really, really freaking good, efficient football game. Obviously, there's going to be misses. And you could find in quite a few different wide receiver tapes that there's going to be near misses. All of them have it. But Jayden and Terry had quite a few of them, right? There was one in the Bengals game. I mean, this list goes on and on. This was just the most egregious game. 3 different missed touchdowns. And obviously, I'm not complaining. Jayden and Terry both had amazing seasons. I'm just sharing this because, and that should have been pass interference. Once again, Terry had a step and still almost caught that. You see how much better the season actually could have been. So comment below, do you believe the Commanders should acquiesce to Terry McLaurin's demands? Look, the one thing working against Washington, actually, there's a few things. This would separate the locker room, especially considering Terry is one of the longest tenured Washington players. And on top of that, he's been with them through this dreaded era before JD came in to save the day. And look, you see how phenomenal he is as a player. This was probably the most incredible play. I mean, there's so many you could point to from last year. And you could also say, man, if we hit just a few more of those deep shots, Terry has a chance to really, really, really have like a top 3 or so wide receiver season in the league. What I would also say, okay, I would pay Terry. I honestly would. The Commanders are in a Super Bowl window right now. I don't think anyone would deny that, especially with JD5, the best quarterback in the NFC on a rookie deal. Keep in mind, JD5 is the best quarterback in the NFC. And he has this Lamar aspect to him where offensive players that play with Jayden, their play is just going to elevate, right? Because that's just who number 5 actually is. So, the Commanders are saying, look, we went out there, got Deebo Samuel. That's not a one-to-one fit. Terry, obviously to me, more well-rounded player, whereas Deebo, I would say he's a more well-rounded receiver than Deebo, but Deebo, of course, gives you the reverses and all the extra stuff that goes along with it. But, man, I will point out that I am just so high on Jayden as a player that I do think he can make it work without number 17 as well. And that's part of the reason why I'm so in on Deebo Samuel next year. Because when Jayden is your quarterback, and you have to account for him in the run game, and you got to account for him, even though we were talking about the deep ball misses, Jayden's deep ball accuracy was the highest rated ever in the history of PFF College his last year at LSU. And as many of you know and saw today, mostly his deep ball accuracy, especially for a rookie, was really, really, really good, as was the intermediate accuracy. So, look, I think Jayden is so special that it's not the end of the world if for some reason Washington decides to let him walk. But I don't think that's going to happen, and Terry will be a Commander. Let me know what you guys think down below, and we'll talk to you soon. It is Power Hour NFL. Boom! Tonight, we are doing burgers. Let's go.